Hi, moral recapped here. Today I'm going to explain a biographical drama film called The First Grader. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. An old man is working his land, plowing the ground and planting some seeds. When he returns home, he listens to a man on the radio who says that the government has announced free education for everyone. The only thing one needs to sign up is their birth certificate. The next day at the local school, many parents have gathered to try and sign their children up for school. Teacher Jane is doing her job when she is called by another teacher, Alfred, who tells her that an old man is looking for her. Jane meets with Maruge, and he gives her a torn piece out of a newspaper, which says that education will be free for everyone. Jane says that free education is meant for children. Maruge says that he heard it on the radio as well, and they said it would be for everyone. Alfred says that there are already many students that want to join the school, and they can't accept an old man who can't even walk. The next day at school, Jane's class is overwhelmed with students. Alfred calls her outside again and sees Maruge waiting outside the school doors. Alfred tells him that they can't accept him. He should go home and rest in peace. That phrase does not ring well with Maruge's ears. He says he is not dead yet. Alfred tells him that he should have a school uniform, which includes special clothes and shoes in order to be accepted, but he has no money to afford it. Alfred lets Jane deal with the old man. Jane asks him why he wants to join the school, and Maruge answers that he wants to learn how to read. Jane apologizes to him, but there is nothing she can do. Maruge returns home and spends some time with his dear chicken. Then he sells them and makes some money. He uses that money to buy his school uniform, as Alfred demanded. Maruge wears his shirt, his shorts, and his shoes and visits the school again the next day. Alfred calls Jane out once more and she meets Maruge. Jane tells Alfred that he is a man who does not give up easily. Alfred tells Jane that she can't fall for it. If she even thinks of accepting Maruge, she will have trouble with the education board. Jane says that Alfred is right. How will she explain this to the Board of Education or the parents? Maruge says that he is going to be a good pupil and will work very hard. Jane decides to let him in and opens the doors for him. Jane takes Maruge in class and tells the children that they have a new student joining them. The kids laugh. Jane tells Maruge to sit on the back, but he says he won't be able to see from back there. Jane lets him have a seat in the front and starts teaching the class how to write the letter A. When Maruge returns home that afternoon, he hears some voices outside his house telling him that school is not for old men and he has no business there. Those voices bring back some sad memories in his mind from the time when he was young and his country was controlled by British rulers. Maruge returns back to school the next day and he sits on his desk with the little girl and boy, Kamau. Jane calls Kamau to write the number 5 on the blackboard, but Kamau needs 2 attempts to get it right. Jane then calls Maruge to write number 6, but he can't hear her very well. On the break time, Maruge is sitting on the side while the kids play. The girl from his desk, who has a deficient leg, approaches him and asks him if he is sick. Maruge says no, it's just his ears that do not hear very well. The girl tells him that she will be a doctor when she grows up and will cure his ears. The kids get back to class and Alfred comes in to examine the students. When he walks to Maruge, he tells him that he needs to sharpen his pencil. Maruge gets up to do so, and yet another memory comes into his mind. When he was young, the British had tortured him by sticking a sharp pencil in his ear. When he returns to present, he doesn't feel well and walks out of the class. Maruge sits alone, playing with his bracelet. The girl comes near and asks him what it is. Maruge says he was in prison but not because he did something wrong. He was in prison because white men stole their land, and he fought for his freedom. He and the kids chant the word freedom, and that draws the teacher's attention. Alfred says he is going to cause trouble to this school. A photographer approaches Maruge's school and takes a picture of him. The man on the radio says that rumor has spread about an old man attending primary school. The next day at school, two kids start fighting, and Maruge walks between them to split them up. In the fuss of the moment, a representative of the government visits the school to see for himself if the rumors are true. He got a call from the press that informed him about an old man studying at the school. He is not happy about it and asks who allowed Maruge to study there. Jane says that she is the one who allowed him to come in. The representative tells them that they need to expel him. He will not spend another day in the school. Jane calls her husband and asks for his help, but there's not much he can do. Jane visits the Secretary of Education and tells her about Maruge. The secretary says they can't accept him at school because that might trigger other old people to join in as well, and that would drain the government of valuable resources, which they need to dedicate to the children. The only thing they can do for Maruge is to sign him up in a school for adults. Eventually, Jane visits Maruge and tells him the news. Maruge goes to his new school to test the waters, but that school is nothing like primary school. Nobody's there to actually learn, and nobody pays any attention to class. The noise is so loud that he can't even listen to the teacher talk, and there is no respect for education whatsoever. Maruge walks to Jane's house and waits for her to return. She invites him in, and they have a chat. Maruge says that his tribe used to survive from their land, while other tribes used to survive from their animals. But a man is nothing if he does not know how to read. He says he has a letter he would love to read, but he can't do so because he is not educated. Jane calls the representative and asks him if he has reconsidered about Maruge. No luck. Jane returns to school the next morning and listens to cheers and singing coming from her class. She joins the class and sees Maruge standing with the children and cheering them up. He tells the kids to sit down and says he came to say goodbye. He addresses Jane and tells her what he told the kids, that a goat can't read and can't write its own name. Therefore, a man who can't read is not better than a goat, so they have to study hard. Jane tells them that goats are smart animals and very stubborn. They can learn a lesson from them, since they don't easily give up. She announces to the class that from now on, Maruge will be her teaching assistant. Maruge's story makes it to the news, and the whole nation learns about him. That causes the people's rage, because they think it's not right for their children to study alongside an old man. The representative comes back to the school and tells Jane that Maruge has to go to the adult school. Jane tells him Maruge has no money, and he replies that he will have money soon, since his tribe is going to get some form of compensation. And in any case, Jane is just an employee at the school, so she has to do what she is told. Maruge's memory takes him back to his youth, and his wife telling him that she is pregnant. Although his wife gave birth to their child, she was executed by the British. Back at school, Jane is helping Maruge learn how to read a few short words. When they are done, she receives a phone call, and the man on the other end of the line tells her that they are watching her, and they know she is alone at her place. Jane calls her husband Charles and tells him about it. Charles comes back at their house, and at that same night, he gets an anonymous phone call and a voice throwing some dirt on his wife, telling him that she has been cheating on him. The next day, Kamaru's father visits Maruge and asks for money. He says he knows the press has been paying him money and he wants a share. Maruge says he has no money and goes inside his house. Kamaru's father pays some dudes to go at the school and make a mess. Kamaru witnesses the whole interaction. Those men visit the school and make some noise, but Maruge beats them with his stick and hunts them away. Maruge then sits with Kamaru, who asks him if he is okay. Maruge says he is fine and teaches Kamaru a cool poem he can use to remember how to write the number 5. Long neck, belly fat, number 5. Where is your hat? Following, Jane receives a letter at school which says that she is being transferred to another school in another city. She tells her husband about it, and they have a verbal fight because he thinks Jane is sacrificing too much to just help an old man. Jane visits Maruge and tells him about it. A new teacher is about to come at the school to replace Jane, and the parents cheer for her. However, the kids do not share the same feelings. When the new teacher comes, the kids lock the school doors and start throwing whatever they can get their hands on towards the parents and the new teacher. Consequently, the new teacher gets intimidated and runs away. Maruge travels to Nairobi to meet with the Board of Education. He tells them that he fought for the freedom of this country and shows them his wounds. He says that they can only reap what they sow from their children. The children need good teachers. He tells them to bring Jane back, and then he leaves. Jane is transferred back at her old school, and all the students rush to go and greet her. Later, Maruge brings his letter to Jane and tells her that it is too complex and he can't read it. Jane takes a look, but then gives the letter to Alfred to read. He starts reading. The letter is from the president of Kenya and says that Maruge is going to receive a compensation in return for the harsh treatment he has faced with all the years he spent in various prisons. Jane feels proud about him and says that they are here because of him. Maruge says that this is not the end and he will continue his education. He will study until he dies. The film closes by letting us know that Maruge has been invited as a speaker to various events abroad to talk about the importance of education.